Hey guys, this is Hunter with Nelson Insurance. Say, I'm a trucking specialist here at my agency. I'm the principal of Nelson Insurance. We're here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We write trucking and commercial insurance, just about all over the nation. So anywhere you guys need a quote, I am here to help you. I'm going to go over some of the best trucking companies here. I have done my research just to find just what everybody I can, because there's a decent amount of them out of there. There's a lot of guys who will do trucking insurance just in certain areas like the Midwest, and then obviously just depending on state, it's very tough. So I'm going to go over just the trucking companies that I've worked with and I think are the best here. So right at the bat, I'm going to start at number four. We got Progressive. The most common thing I hear about Progressive is do their claims experience suck? That I can just tell you guys, it's with them owning 49% of the market, I think you do hear a lot of horror stories because it's one out of two people have Progressive, so you're going to hear more horror stories. And also on top of that, Progressive, just about everybody's got access to Progressive. They got like 90,000 agents over the nation. If you're with a not trucking agent, if you're with a personalized agency, your claim's going to suck. Your policy's going to suck. They don't know what they're doing. Trucking is one of the most complicated risks out there. So I think you hear a lot of horror stories from that too, because you got agents who don't know what they're doing. Whereas us, we are studying for certificates. We work with a lot of truckers. I know the industry in and out. My dad owned a trucking company, so but yeah, Progressive. Their claims can be their claims can be great. I've seen people have great experiences with their claims, and I've seen a couple people have horrible experience with their claims. I have not had a bad experience with a claim with Progressive. Um, I don't have a ton of business with them compared to my other companies because I get better. I found better deals elsewhere. But Progressive, you're starting out, they're a great option. They again own 49% of the market, so obviously they're doing something right. My next one I would go with here is Canal. Canals are shot in the dark. They're a little more picky than Progressive. I mean, obviously, they're only through brokerage. I don't know any agents who have a direct appointment with them. Sometimes you got to select like single digit number of agents who have a direct appointment with them. Most of the time, you're dealing with brokerage. So you're gonna have fees, you have taxes, that type of stuff. Things be a little slower. But when I mean they're shot in the dark, is that sometimes we come in really good, sometimes we come in really bad. I've had somebody that I've heard of that was with Progressive Canal coming in and saving 40 grand a year on just a couple trucks. So it just makes no sense. They're all over the place, but if I mean if you get a great way with them, they're awesome. They're a good company. They're reputable. It's all they do. Trucking. My next one, I'm gonna have to go with Great West. Great West is a great company. I'm in South Dakota. They own like 70% of the market because there's one agency here in South Dakota that has been around for about 140 years. They sell Great West every chance they get. I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you get Great West, they're a great company, but it doesn't mean they're best out there. A lot of people just think they're the best. Usually, the guys selling for Great West, they're selling because they're partnering with Great West. Great West gives them incentives, all sorts of stuff. Honestly, if I had Great West, I would sell them too. I'm trying to get Great West. I'll probably have them here pretty quick. Um, they are a good company, but I've beaten them too with companies that the other agency had. So, uh, it doesn't not that they're always the cheapest, but good company. Um, so yeah, and they also are extremely picky on who they work with for agents. They want large trucking books, guys who've been in the industry for quite a while. So really, if you're the Great West agents, the guy knows what he's doing. So you always get that going for you too. Northland um, is kind of my top pick, to be honest with you. They're right up there with Great West. Northland is extremely picky on who they take. If you qualify, they're almost untouchable. They are dirt cheap. They are owned by travelers. Again, all they do is trucking. They're a great company. They're all through. They're only through brokerage. There are two agents in the United States that have them directly. One is Marvin Johnson Associates. Um, they got them, which is kind of crazy. But the other agency, I have no idea. But I use them. They're great. They're extremely picky. But Northland's got your dedicated lawyers to trucking. They've got everything set aside. They are extremely picky, extremely cheap, and just overall great company. So I do just want to go over a couple honorable mentions here too. So you've got some carriers who are not you think truck insurance, they're not your name brand. Um, doesn't mean that they're not great. They do other lines, and so they just are focused on that stuff too. But they're very picky on who they take, and they're very regional and such there. So your couple of guys are going to be Minnesota Mutual, Acuity, Continental Western Group, Auto Owners. You got a couple of guys in there like Lancer. Um, such along those lines. But really, um, some of those guys can be the cheapest out there too. It's not like, hey, I'm with Great West, I'm getting the best deal. Hey, I'm with Progressive, I'm getting the best deal. It's all about finding what you're hauling, what's your radius, what's your stuff there, and seeing who you will qualify for and getting shopped out and such there, and keep shopping out. Um, with that agent every year too. Because going with different agents, you gotta make sure your coverage is right. You gotta make sure all your stuff is right. You got new certificates. If you can find an agent that's got access to just about everybody, I've got access to just about all trucking companies. Great West will be bringing on soon. Acuity will be bringing on soon, and such there. But like Midwest Semi Mutual, they're extremely picky on who to take. My rep says he takes about 1 out of 10 people I send in, which I found to be true. If you are an owner operator or anybody that really, I shouldn't say that. If you need non trucking liability, if somebody else has got the bill of their name on the bill of lading, then MFM is going to come in and say Middlesex Mutual is dirt cheap. I cut Progressive's rates in half every time I go against them. CWG, another one I've got access to and I'm working on to bring them on directly right now. They're very picky on who they take. They're a lot of your agricultural stuff. They're going to be your farming contractor, trucking by hire, going from the field to the elevator. Their mile radius is like 300 miles. They might give or take a little bit. They're a lot. I think they're in 12 states, mainly in the Midwest. But looking to grow in trucking, and they can be cheap. So that's a great company. Acuity, very similar lines. I believe they're 500 miles and under. They are one of the highest rated companies for claims. Fantastic company. They're taking a rate increase in out trucking. They don't hold a huge market share, but they can be good. And auto owners also kind of the same road with Acuity, um, taking some rate increases. They are really backing out of trucking. Um, there's some agencies that got a lot of business with auto owners, but they're not writing hardly anything for trucking right now. So those are your kind of four honorable mentions, but yeah, your other four: Northland, Progressive, Canal, Great West. They're just great companies. Then you got a couple others too that just fall in the line there, but those are my recommendations. If I had to be with any three companies, Progressive's coming actually really cheap in agricultural hauling. I'd say Progressive, Great West, and Northland um, are really my top picks. They're your most popular companies, those three by a long shot. It just really depends on where you're at in your trucking business, your industry, all type of stuff. But if you guys got any questions, reach out to me. I only do trucking. Um, it'll work for my clients. I've saved people quite a bit of money on trucking. One other just one, it's not a company, but one thing like that I've done is I've split up the auto liability physical damage, and that has saved people some serious money. Honestly, I've been able to cut people's rates down by about 40% here pretty recently. So if you guys get any questions, reach out to me. Office number is 605-275-9700. I'm again in South Dakota, but I write all over the nation, and all I do is trucking. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions.